So how do you show up in life? Any answers for me? How do you show up? Maybe what I should ask you instead is, before we know how we show up in life, is who are you? Who are you? You can call out something. That's all right. Thank you. Did you hear that, child of God? Anybody else?
Charming.
Charming. Loving. Love it. Anyone else?
Mom and Nana.
Oh, you're a mom and a nana. That's true. Those are all true things. Well, we are all of those things. We are both human and we are divine. And as being human and divine, we walk that little edge, don't we? We walk the edge. And we know that our job is to bring the divine into our everyday life. And as I was thinking about this talk, I thought about, well, how do we do that? How do we bring the divine into our everyday life? Does anybody have an idea? This is audience participation today.
Listen, pray,
Listen. Very good. Yes. Listen. Something else.
Ask.
Ask.
meditate,
Be in the now.
be
Mm-hmm.
kind though, kind.
Kind. Be kind.
Meditation.
Meditation. Absolutely.
See everything as divine.
See, everything is divine. So true. So absolutely true. Okay, all of your answers are great. And they are all true. They're all true. And you say, well, how can we be so many things? Well, because we were created in the beginning with all of the faculties we needed and everything that we need to live upon this earth, but also to bring forth our divine potential. And one of the ways that I think we do that is by helping other people, by caring for other people. And, you know, just like our song and Jody's song, that we all need to work together to help each other. As we help each other, we are being the divine in action. Because we all need each other in order to survive upon the earth and to grow spiritually. You know, we do not recommend that you go up into the mountain and sit in a cave and meditate. It's a good thing for a while, but you have to come down off the mountaintop and you have to make sure that you are interacting with other people, because that's where we grow, is our interaction with other people. And sometimes that's difficult, isn't it? Have you ever found that to be just a little difficult? Maybe. I find that sometimes it is, but through those times is when I grow the most. It is through the tough times when we work together to work things out that we are lifted to a higher consciousness and we move in a new direction. And so I think one of the spiritual gifts that we've been given is the gift of service. The gift of service is something that is truly a wonderful gift. And I was recently given the gift of service. I've had some challenges in my house, and I've had people who come to the door, knock and say, is there anything I can do to help you? And I always say yes. I usually say, come right on in, because do I have things for you to help me with? Yes, I do. And so many people have come forward to do that, and I've been so grateful for that. I've been so thankful, because I have a lot of stuff, and we've been moving stuff from one place to another place. And that makes it very, very difficult when there's only one of you moving all this stuff. So I want to say thank you for those of you who did stop in and say, can I help you? And all of those of you who were praying for me. Because let me tell you, I needed it. So the reason I needed all this help is I had a little flood in my lower level. And I'm doing a project in my kitchen at the same time. So things are really interesting in my house. There are a lot of people in this room who volunteer. In fact, at this church, there are over 100 people who volunteer, which I think is a very high number for a church of our size. Basically, half of this congregation volunteers. That's pretty amazing, I think. So what I'd like to do today is I would like to recognize all of you who are volunteers. If you have volunteered within the last year or two, would you please stand up here at the church? Very, very good. How many, now stay standing, please. Probably a lot of you volunteered and you didn't realize it. But all of you who have volunteered somewhere in the last year or two, anywhere, would you stand up? Okay. Any one of you who has ever helped a friend, would you please stand up? I know you've helped somebody. You stand up. Everybody helps somebody. I want you all to give yourselves a big hand. Thank you. You are all stars. I can tell by looking out at all of you that I'm preaching to the choir today. You may be seated. Many of you are volunteering in ways that you don't even realize. It's just things you do, caring things that you do, the things that you do making when you just pick up the phone and call somebody that knows you could use a little inspiration, a little listening to. That is one of the biggest things that we can do, is to listen to another person. To really listen, not try to fix them, not try to do anything but listen. Just listen. Most of us just want to be heard. We don't want to be told what to do. Most of us really know what we're going to do. But we want to be heard. And we want people to know who we are. And sometimes we talk to people and we have problems, and sometimes we talk to people and we have joys to share. But it's the sharing and the caring that makes such a difference in our lives. With busy lives, we find that sometimes it's hard to do maybe a formal volunteer job. Everyone is very, very busy. I know the retired people are the most busy of all that I know. You have to make appointments to see them. And that's because they're all out there volunteering someplace. But you know, there are many, many things about volunteering that you may not realize they're actually so very, very good for you. Really some benefits that come from that is going to help you in your life every day. Over the past 2 decades, we have seen a lot of research being made into people who do volunteer work. And there's a research company that is called CNCS, and they made a report entitled The Health Benefits of Volunteering. And they have established a strong relationship between volunteering and health. Those who volunteer have lower mortality rates, greater functional ability, and lower rates of depression later in life than those who do not volunteer. Volunteering is good for your health at any age, but it's especially beneficial for older people. Studies have shown that those who volunteer not only live longer, but they live healthier. They are less likely to have depression, and volunteering is also shown to lessen the symptoms of chronic pain and heart disease. There are unlimited opportunities, even if you have a few hours at home in the evenings. Volunteering connects you with others. In Jacksonville, Florida, a volunteer was late in calling her elderly friend and the person on her list because this elderly person lived alone. And so she got a call every morning from this volunteer. And one morning the volunteer was late. She was running late and she hadn't made the call yet and the phone rang. And she picked it up and answered it, and it was the lady that she calls. And she said, the lady said, you didn't call. And so our volunteer said, well, I was just getting ready to. Oh, said the lady, I'll hang up then. She said, if you don't call, the phone will not ring all day. What you do makes a big difference. Even a simple phone call first thing in the morning to someone who lives alone. One of the better known benefits of volunteering is the impact on the community. Our communities would be in really big trouble if we didn't have a lot of volunteers who volunteer within the community. Not only in our church community, but in the community at large. So it's something that we may not notice. We see people working and they're doing different things, and for all we know, they may be volunteers. They may not be being paid at all, and yet, you know, one person said, we don't pay our volunteers because they are priceless. And that's true. Volunteers are priceless. One of the best ways of making new friends and strengthening existing friends is to volunteer together. And when you volunteer, you're usually with a group. And this same group meets all the time. It's a great way to make friends. It's a great way to get to know other people, particularly if you have moved into town for the very first time. It's a great way to get to know perhaps your neighbors or the community or your church or whatever situation you feel drawn to do. Volunteering increases your social and relational skills. Some people are naturally outgoing, and then there are others who are a little more shy. And so sometimes it takes an effort for the shy folks to go out and volunteer with a group of people that they've never met before. So if you have a friend, take them with you, and that way you'll have someone and you'll feel a little more comfortable in doing so. I'm one of those shy people. You wouldn't know it here, but it's true. And that's kind of scary to me. So I would take a friend and go out myself. So I think that's a really good idea. Volunteering can also provide a healthy boost to your self-esteem and to life satisfaction. You know how it feels when you volunteer, because y'all have, when you've done something and it just makes you feel so good. You just feel good inside. And there's not enough money to pay for that good feeling. It is something that is a wonderful thing. And the better you feel about yourself, the more likely you are to have a positive view of your life and your future goals. So, the Lions Club supports an eye bank in Washington and Idaho. And they provide corneas for probably 400 people a year. They perform over 400 cornea transplants a year. And frequently donated corneas from deceased people must be specifically packed and delivered by bus or train to the hospital. One night, the program coordinator was really up the creek. It was, she needed someone to be in Spokane, someone in Spokane, to meet a bus there and take her to the hospital. However, it was after 1 a.m. Well, she had a list of emergency people to call, and she called this one gentleman, and let me tell you, he wasn't happy. And he said to her, "Yes, I volunteered to be on the contact list, but I only volunteered for afternoons to 8 o'clock and never in bad weather." Not much time in there, was there? He was pretty sure he wasn't going to get called, I think. It is 1 a.m. and it's snowing outside. I will do it this once, but don't ever call me again. And so he gets up and he gets dressed, and while he's up, his 13-year-old son came out and asked, "Oh, what you doing, Dad?" And his dad said, "Well, I'm going on an errand." So the boy asked if he could go too, and he said, "Oh, sure, come on, we'll go." So they drove in silence through the snowstorm, and they went to the bus station. They picked up the package. They took it to the hospital, and on the way home, the boy is curious, and he says, "Dad, what was in that package?" And his dad said, "You know, it was tissue from the eyes of someone who died, and that tissue is going to help someone else to see again." Well, the boy thought about this for a few moments. He digested that for a moment, and he said, "Gee, Dad, I never knew you did something so important." The next day, the man called the coordinator back and said, "Call me anytime. I'll be happy to do it." Volunteering is something that makes us feel good inside, but it also makes those around us feel good as well. To know that someone you love is doing something so important. And all of the things that we do are important. Volunteering combats depression. Often, one of the things that we want to do when we are volunteering or when we're in depression or feeling depressed is what we don't want to do is go out, and we don't want to see people. But the best thing we can do is to go out and see people and get involved and see other people. I know that it gives me a new perspective when I go out and I visit someone. A lot of you visit people in the hospitals and in the nursing homes. And I know that when you are doing that, it can be a real joy. I visited someone Saturday, and I got more from it probably than he did, because he was just a joy to be with. He was, you know, he was experiencing some real challenges in his life. So I think he did more to make me feel good than I did to make him feel good. There was an enthusiastic 70-year-old woman in Montcalm County who came to a training for volunteers, and her light lit up the room. She had the most beautiful, wonderful energy. And she was just smiling so big that the people at the break were just gravitating towards her. She was just a joy to be around. And when the session was over, she went up and talked to the trainer, and she said, this was a training on instilling self-esteem in children. And she went up to the trainer and she said, "You know, I get up every morning so excited and glad to be alive. And I go to work with children for 20 hours a week. And when I'm with these children, I forget that I'm dying of cancer. Here is a light that is letting her light shine even though she's going through an enormous challenge, because she is showing up as who she truly is. Circumstances do not define our lives. Circumstances do not make us feel. They simply are. And we want to remember who we are so that we can go through these times of challenge and still express our true nature. We all have spiritual gifts to give. I know you're all giving them now. For me, though, I think volunteer is not just going out there and doing the work. For me, it is a process of transformation. I see people who get involved, and I see transformation taking place in this church. I see people who were shy and withdrawn, who become leaders in some area where they never thought they would be a leader. In fact, they had to be coaxed to even volunteer. So I see enormous changes happen in people. I see transformation take place. And it's an exciting thing. It's truly exciting to see transformation take place in the lives of the people that give of themselves, that give of the peace. You know, if we want to change society, we have to open ourselves to change as well. We have to do it. We have to realize that we will not survive if we do not help each other in our world. That's how we've made it so long. That's how we've thrived. We have to do it. We have to accept this challenge. And we have to accept the fact that protecting and preserving our world is our responsibility. We're it. You know, when we were given dominion, that's what the word really means, responsibility. Doesn't mean you do whatever you like. We have to change our mindset and our behavior so that we can finally muster the energy, the courage, and the passion to do what we must do to make a difference. I know that all of you are doing that now. You almost all stood up. If you didn't stand up, I'll bet you'll walk out this door with a new idea of something you just might do to make a difference. And so I bless you in this endeavor, and I see you going forth and doing great things. And so it is. God bless you. Thank you.